Hello everyone. Today we'll learn about a concept in Next.js. So whenever you create a Next.js app or a Next.js folder or a Next.js project, so you'll see something called app, source, middlewares or components. So all these folders. So what are these folders? Why are this used for? And is there a proper structure for this, or do we need to follow a certain way according to industrial standards, or does it affect our project if it's in a different manner, or if we customize that? So let's understand all those things in this video now. So first we'll just open our VS Code. You can open any of your code editor or any IDE, and to create an next application you have to write npx create -next -app at latest. So what does this command means? So what we are telling is npx. So npx basically stands for node package execute. We are not writing npm because we don't want npm package manager to install anything or to perform certain tasks. We want npx to execute one command. So to execute a command we are writing npx execute. So using npx I'm writing create next app at latest. So what this means is execute create next app at latest. So at latest stands for the latest version which is currently available in through Next.js. So this command means create next application of latest version. So once you do this, you can just click enter, and okay. So once we do this, you'll find the loading menu and let it down. So it's asking what is your project name. So name your project. I'll use the default one, that is my app. So once you've done this, it's asking you for customization. So do you want to use TypeScript in this? So if you want to use, you can use TypeScript, else you can select no. So you have to just select the option through the arrow keys, and I want to use TypeScript, so I am selecting yes. And after this it's asking do you want to use ESLint. So if you want to use, you can set it to next, else you can set it to no and click enter. Same thing applies here. If Tailwind CSS, yes, I do want to use Tailwind CSS, and after that you want to use source directory, yes, and app router which is used to route our pages, so yes, and turbo pack if you want to use you can choose, else you can select no. And once you select all the options, so now the application is being created. All the dependencies for this project, whatever is needed for Next.js, everything is being installed inside your node module. So if you open your sidebar, you can see that a new so now here we can see that my app is being created. So once we open this, so once we open this, we will see a lot of folders here. So let's try to understand what these are. Okay, so this was the name of the application which was given before. So this my app, and after that we have node modules, we have public, we have source. So let's go one by one. So what are node modules? Node modules are nothing but the dependencies of the project. What and all dependencies do we need? All the external packages. External package in the sense the Next.js will have some dependencies, React will have some dependencies. So similar to that, all the dependencies of this project will be stored inside node modules. So if you just expand that, you can see it in the sidebar that it's very huge. You have a lot of things over there which you if you just observe clearly, there are things which you didn't even install. So we had installed Next, so Next is there. We had installed Tailwind, so we have Tailwind. But if you can see, there's a lot of projects, a lot of things which you didn't even install. For example, this AMP project, or there's something else. So why is it installed? As I didn't install, so why is it installed? The reason is very simple, because one of our project dependencies, so let it be Next or let it be React. So any of those packets require any of those packages require these packets. So that's why it's being installed. So there's you need not worry much about this, because these are just dependencies and we don't need to do anything with this. So it will just be dependencies, so you can just collapse this. So this will be your node modules, and after that we have public. So inside public we have, by default we get some SVGs through Next.js boilerplate. So you can keep this or you can discard this. So what is public directories? So whenever you're creating a website or creating an application, so in that you will have certain images, certain videos, certain SVGs or certain icons to show. So you should properly store everything inside your public directory, so everything is properly organized. So if I want to create images, what I will store images, so what I will do is I will create one directory called assets. So inside my assets I will create an images folder. So I will just create a folder. Yeah. So inside my assets I have images folder. So whatever images which this website requires, I will store all those images inside my images folder. And inside my assets you need not store only images. So in assets you can even store your videos or GIFs. So you can store videos, you can store GIFs, or any of the static asset of your website will be stored inside your public directory. And this is all about public directory. So let's move on to the source directory, which is the main directory of the whole Next.js. So you can call it has the brain, or it has an heart of this whole Next.js project. So inside source I have only one folder, that is app folder. So in app folder is nothing but app folder stands for application. So if you want to create any pages, let's say you have some domain called www.abc.com, and whenever a user enters /about or /home, then you have to pass some pages to that route, so it will be rendered in the UI. So if you want to create an route called about, so what we will do is we'll just write about /page.tsx. So it is mandatory to name this as page.tsx, because that is how you work with Next.js. So according to the documentation and according to the framework, you have to name it as page.tsx. And once you do this, you can just type in the basic component in this page component, and when you run this server, this page will this particular div will be returned to your page. So whatever you write inside this return block will be returned to your main page. So similar to that we have favicon.io. So favicon is nothing but the which appears in your browser next to title of your page. So that is the favicon. And global.css. So whatever styles you write inside this global.css, that style will be applied throughout your website. So here you can see that we have imported Tailwind and we have some basic styles. We'll just run the application and see how the styles are applied. And inside layout, we have a file called layout.tsx. So it is a very important concept. So let's give some more time and understand this clearly. So let's say you are building an application, web application. So it's obvious that you'll need to be that website need to have one header and one footer. This is for sure. Most of the websites have this. So will you manually add header and footer in each and every page? No, right? So it's obvious. If you do that, then one small change, then you have to change the whole website. So wherever you have rendered your nearby, you have to change all those files. So to prevent this, we have something called layout.tsx. So what happens is, whatever you include inside your layout.tsx, those components will render throughout your application. So let's say I've rendered my neighbor in my layout.tsx, then that component will be rendered to any page of my application. So here we have imported metadata. Metadata is nothing but data which supports SEO. So if you have a good idea on React, then React does not support SEO, and SEO is very bad in React. So to solve this problem, we have Next. In Next, we can pass the metadata. So metadata is nothing but the data which Google scrapes through your from your website when you search anything in Google. So let's say you search something called ABCD. So it checks, it scans the whole websites or the whole whole browser. So that data, if you enter anything in metadata, that will be stored with your website name. So whenever Google bots search for some keyword, so if you have that keyword, then that will be ranked in your website. So similarly, the more the keywords in your website, the higher your rank will be. So after that, we have some basic fonts imported from Next font, and we have imported a globals.css, which was explained earlier. And after that, we have just declared that fonts. So here we have a function called getSans, and we have declared the variable, and we have set the font. Here we have metadata. So as I told, we have imported the metadata from Next, and we have rendered it here. So my title will be create Next. This is the default one. You can change it if you are creating any application. So you can give your application name here and a short description of your application in the description. And after that, we have root layout. Excuse me. After that, we have the root layout. So inside root layout, we have for this root layout is nothing but a function, and in this function we have children as an params, and we have specified the type here. So children is type of React node, and inside this we have basic HTML. So this is the basic HTML boilerplate, but not complete. So if you know about HTML, then we'll include meta tags and all those things, but here those tags are missing. So we just have HTML body. So why are those tags missing? Those tags are missing because we have something called metadata. So in your boilerplate, whatever you type inside your title, all those things can be imported and manually added in each of the pages. So if you create some, in about page, if you want to add title to the page, so you will just import, or else if you can just write it as, first we'll create an head component. So you can import head component through Next head. So once you have imported that, inside my head component I can render title. So even title you can import it through Next, or else you can simply follow the HTML one. So you can just write it as title. So title will be about. So when we run this title will be on the top of the browser tab window. So this is about layout. So next, let's move on to the page. So in this page we have a boilerplate code of Next.js, which Next.js gives you by default. So what do we have in this page? So what basically we have in this is, whenever you enter / the main root folder of the main root domain in a website, so whatever you enter in this page.tsx, that will be passed on to the browser. So this will be rendered in your main screen. So this will be a landing page code basically. So now let's just run and see once how this application looks. So to run this application, you have to go inside your app folder. So that is my app, and you have to write npm run dev. So once you type execute this command, so you can see that you can the server is running, and you can press command and click on that. So once you do that, you can see that the application is running on localhost port 3001. So this is the base boilerplate of what Next.js provides. So they have some image, and they have some text and some buttons and some basic paragraph tags. So what if I just remove this image from here? So let's just remove this image. So now we can see that there is no Next.js image. So similar to this, whatever you edit inside this file will be affected here. So as you can see, I'm in my root domain. So it is localhost 3001. So here this part is rendered. So whatever I change inside this file, that will be reflected here. So what about the another root which we had created? That is about. So if you go to localhost/about, now we can see that we can see the component which we had returned from there. So we had returned just page component. So yeah, you can see that here. Okay, so now we are done with the source folder. So after this source folder, we have .gitignore. So if you know about GitHub, so we obviously don't push node modules to the GitHub because the node modules are very heavy and they consume a lot of space. So to prevent that, we just include the heavy modules or heavy folders which need not to be pushed to GitHub. It can be in your local system. So we'll include all those files inside .gitignore. So if you can see that node modules is bit lighter than all this text. So these all the other files are clearly white, and this is a bit gray. That is gray because we don't push this to GitHub. That's why it is gray. And similarly, we have next.env.d.tsx. This is a file type file. So all the types which are required to next. So just support some other imports. We have this next.env.d.ts. So this is a type file, and after this we have next.config.ts. So as Next.js provides custom components, so let's say if it's an image or if it's an head tag or if it's a link tag, so for all the images or for all the links, you can add some attributes or you can add some styles by default. So you can add those here, and after this we have package.log.json. So here we have all the dependencies list. So what and all the dependencies, what are they, what is the version of the dependency, and all those things. After that we have package.json. So in this package.json we have name of the application, the version, and scripts. So if you remember, we to run this application we had written npm run dev. So here we have dev. So whenever you write npm run, the first keyword is selected here. So if you write npm run dev, so this one will be executed. So it will be npm run next dev. And if you write npm run build, then it would be converted to npm run build, so npm run next build. So after this we have postconfig.mjs. So here we can configure our Tailwind CSS. So if you want to extend the Tailwind classes and create custom classes, or you want to extend the inbuilt class, so you can do that in this post CSS config.mjs. And after this we have an readme file. So readme file is nothing but a default file which has to all the repositories to let the viewer understand what this repo is all about. So all the details which are required for the repository, all the details about the repository is mentioned in this MD file. And after this finally we have tsconfig.json. So here we have it's a bit complicated thing because you have to be more into DevOps and all those things to get a clear idea of this. But this has compiler options here, how to compile this application and all those things. So there's nothing much about this. So the main focus should be on the source folder and the app folder. So let's say you want to create your components. As whenever you're creating any production based application, so you won't just write your whole code inside one single page. So you will divide that into multiple components. So to create multiple components, you need to store all those in an organized way. So to do that, we have we have to create another folder called components inside your source folder. So you can store all of your components inside this components folder. So just to keep everything organized and clean. So similar to this, you can create many more directories like hooks, you can store all the custom hooks here, and similar to that, if you want to store, if you create custom contacts, so you can store a custom contacts. So similar to this, you can create as many as folders you want. And after this, we have inside your we have something called middleware. So middleware is something which will be executed for each and every request and response of your application. So to create a middleware file, you have to write middleware.ts. So in your root folder, so your root folder is source. So in the root folder, as a direct child, I'm giving middleware.ts. So here you whatever code you write, it will be executed for each and every request and response. So this is all about middleware and the whole directory structure. And in this video, we have learned about Next.js and how the directory structure of Next.js is. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching.